Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be talking about how you can move to Canada by November. You hear me right? By November. Rush this before it ends. Land Canada in November. Yes, this one you don't need a job offer. You don't need a job offer. Apply to this now before it ends. And if you are just coming across my channel for the first time, please make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification button in case of I upload video, so you'll be the first person to view it. And also like the video. Please like this video. I'm going to be doing a selective. I'm going to select some people that I'm going to help work on their CV and their resume. I'm going to help them do that, but I'm going to select from those that are my subscribers and those that also follow my video. Thanks. Please, let's go there.
Today we want to shift our attention to one of Canada's provinces that has a lot of immigration programs at the provincial level. For most of the provincial programs that we have spoken about, almost a lot of them actually require job offers from employers in that particular province. But this particular province that we'll be talking about today has a lot of different programs, some of which do not actually require you to get a job offer in that province. The program that we'll be focusing on today does not require a job offer from this particular province, and it's a permanent residency pathway that we'll be looking at today. So we are talking about the province of Saskatchewan in Canada. Okay, as you know, this is one of the provinces that has one of the most robust provincial programs when it comes to attracting international applicants or international skilled workers as permanent residents. Okay, so under the international skilled worker program that they have different streams or different pathways. Under that, they have the hard to fill skills pilot, they have the tech talent pathway, they have the international skilled worker employment offer, they have the international healthcare worker EOI pool, they have the occupation in demand and express entry occupation requirement. They have different programs which they have put in place. All of this is actually to attract a permanent resident with the required skills to come into that province and settle down there with the view of improving the economic performance of the province of Saskatchewan. Okay, so we'll be picking one of these programs, and the one we are picking does not actually require a job offer. So what I'll be doing is I'll be showing you some information about this immigration pathway, how you can apply for it, what are the requirements, what are the eligibility, and then other useful information surrounding this particular program. So we're talking about the International Skilled Worker EOI system. That EOI means Expression of Interest System, which is one of the permanent residency pathways that the government of Saskatchewan has put in place for people who do not have job offers yet in that province. Okay, so in this video I'll be taking you through this program and how you can apply for that program. But the first thing that you would need to determine before you apply for this International Skilled Worker EOI system is for you to first determine if your occupation, that is, if your job where you have the work experience is not on the excluded list of occupations. Okay, so there are certain occupations in the province of Saskatchewan that are not in demand. What that means is that the province has adequate amount of professionals in that field, so there is no priority to bring in additional people in this particular sector. So there is a list that the government has published which contains the list of occupations that are not in demand in this province. Okay, and for these occupations, they are not eligible to participate in this International Skilled Worker EOI system. So this immigration pathway that we're talking about today are for the occupations that are in demand, and they don't actually have like a list of the occupations in demand. What they have is the list of excluded occupations. So the way to determine if you're eligible first is that if your job is not on the list of excluded occupations, then you are eligible to apply for this International Skilled Worker EOI system. And I'll be showing you that list. I will also put some links in the video description for you to access that list of excluded occupations, because that should be your first call for you to check if your occupation or if your job is not on that list. Once it's not on that list, then you can go ahead to start your application for this International Skilled Worker EOI system. So I'll show you the list of excluded occupations later on. Okay, so but what is this International Skilled Worker Expression of Interest all about? Not an application. The government of Saskatchewan does not consider this an actual application for permanent residency. However, this is a pre-application which allows you to fill out an online form to indicate your interest in applying to the Saskatchewan Immigration Non-Nominee Program and to show your qualification. They have certain information that they are going to ask you, and they will use those information to assess your eligibility and to determine if what you have entered into the form it makes you eligible for this program. So those applicants who have the skills needed by Saskatchewan's job market are selected from the International Skilled Worker EOI system. And these skills or these profiles that they are actually looking for include connections to the province, work experience, language proficiency, and other criteria. Okay, so once you are one of the applicants that is selected from the system, you are going to be issued an official invitation to apply, which then means that province is now ready to give you like a nomination from their province, which you can use for your permanent residency applications. So first, if you want to create an expression of interest profile on Saskatchewan's immigration page or immigration platform, what are the information that you would need to create it? The first thing is that you would need your passport number, your date of birth. They will want to find out if you want to use an immigration representative or not. Now, the thing is that using an immigration representative does not actually increase your chance in any way, but you are always welcome to use one if you need the services of a licensed immigration representative. They will want to also ask you if you are a skilled worker who wants to live and work in the province of Saskatchewan. They will ask you if you already have a job offer or not. Now, mind you, having a job offer is not actually a requirement. So even if you don't have a job offer, you can still submit this expression of interest. The next thing is that they want to also find out if you have been accepted into the federal government's express entry pool. They will also ask for your occupation, and in this case, they would want you to select the NOC code which corresponds to your occupation for which you want to apply for this permanent residency. Okay, this will help them to actually determine if your occupation is among the list that are excluded or not, and if you are actually eligible for this program. The next thing is they want to find out if you have an education credential assessment. So as you know, foreign education is not really recognized in Canada if you have not done what they call equivalency. Okay, so there are certain bodies that have been set up in Canada that can assess your foreign credentials and then give it a Canadian equivalency. All right, they will also want to know if you have a document from a regulatory body in case your work or your job occupation requires regulation in Canada or in the province of Saskatchewan. And then basically, after you have answered all of this question and provided all your information, then you will have like a score for the profile that you have submitted. So basically, this particular subcategory or this immigration pathway are for certain category of skilled workers. Number one, these are international skilled workers who do not have a job offer in Saskatchewan but are highly skilled in an in-demand occupation. You don't need a job offer before you can submit this expression of interest, which is a pre-application for Saskatchewan's immigration nominee program. Secondly, you must intend to reside in the province of Saskatchewan as a permanent resident. The next qualification is that you must meet the other criteria that are set for the creation of an expression of interest. Of course, these criteria are always changing from time to time based on decisions that are taken by the immigration program. However, for the time being, we will look at the criteria that they have set at this current time. So let's take a look at the general eligibility criteria and what determines what your score will be if you want to submit an expression of interest. Okay, so they have like a grid that you can use to estimate your score. All right, so we can use that grid to actually find out what your score could likely be. So the points that you claim will be confirmed by the document you show later, and you can claim points once for each section. The first factor is labor market success, and the first criteria has to do with your education and training. So first, you have to determine your level of education. Okay, so if you have like a master's or a doctorate degree, even if you studied outside of Canada, you must have actually done the Canadian equivalency through an ECA, what they call the education credential assessment. Okay, so if you have a master's or doctorate degree, you have up to 23 points. If you have a bachelor's degree or at least a 3-year degree at a university or college, you will have 20 points. If you have a trade certification, you have 20 points. If you have a Canadian equivalency diploma that requires 2 but less than 3 years at a university, college, trade or technical school or other post-secondary institution, you will get 15 points. If you have a Canadian equivalency certificate or at least but less than a 2-year program at a university, college, trade or technical school or other post-secondary institution, you will have 12 points. So basically for education, you would require a post-secondary certificate, okay? And you can get points between 12 and 23 points. The maximum is 23 under education and training, okay? Under the skilled work experience, you would need to have a minimum of at least 1 year full-time work experience within the past 5 years from when you want to submit the application. So if you have had 5 years work experience within the past 5 years, then you can get the maximum point, which is 10. If you have 4-year experience within the past 5 years, 8 points. If you have 3 years, 6 points. 2 years, 4 points. And then if you only have 1 year experience, then you only have 2 points. And the third criteria has to do with language ability. Okay, so you must have written one of the standardized language proficiency tests, and you must actually report your score depending on what you scored overall. Based on your score will also translate to what they call the Canadian language benchmark level. So basically they need a CLB from level 4 to 10. All right, so if you have a first language test, let's say English or French, and you have scores which is equivalent to the Canadian language benchmark level 8 or higher, then you will score 20 points. If it's CLB 7, it's 18 points, and then it keeps reducing. If you don't have an English or French language proficiency, then you will actually have 0 points. Okay, now if you actually have like a second language test, so imagine that you have language proficiency in both English and French, then you can score additional, even up to 10 additional points if you write another language proficiency test. Okay, now in terms of age, first, if you are less than 18 years, you would have 0 points. Okay, so basically the age bracket is from 18 years to around 50 years. Okay, also if you are more than 50 years, you would not get any point under the age criteria. Okay, so the ideal age is for you to be between 18 years to 50 years, but the optimum age, okay, which can give you the maximum score under the age criteria, is from 22 years to 34 years. The next best age bracket is from 35 years to 45 years, and that can actually give you 10 points. Okay, if you are from 46 to 50 years, you will get 8 points, or if you are within 18 to 21 years, you will also get 8 points. So under all of these criteria, the maximum point that you can get is 80. All right, now by the way, for you to be able to successfully create an expression of interest, you would need to score a minimum of 60 points. So if your score on all of these criteria in total is less than 60 points, you would not be able to create an expression of interest, and you would need to actually improve your profile before you can create an expression of interest. Maybe your language proficiency test was bad, you will have to maybe write another one in order to increase your ranking and then get at least the threshold for you to submit an expression of interest. Okay, so they have other criteria as well. They have what they call the connection to Saskatchewan labor market and adaptability, and under that they look at certain criteria. So if you have a high skilled employment offer from a Saskatchewan employer, you would get additional 30 points. If you have a close family relative in Saskatchewan, and by close family relative they mean either of the following: either a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, uncle, niece, nephew, first cousin, step family members, or in-laws of the same relationship. So all of these family relationships that I've mentioned, you can actually use that to claim additional 20 points. If you have past work experience in Saskatchewan, you can get 5 more extra points. If you have studied previously in the province of Saskatchewan, you can get 5 points. Okay, so the maximum point that you can earn looking at all of these different factors is 110. And for you to be able to submit an expression of interest, you need to score at least 60 out of that 110. So these are the criteria that you would need to look into, and I've given you like a breakdown of all of these different criteria, so that at least as you are now, you can look at how many points that you can score. Now, if you can score 60 and above from all of these criteria that I've mentioned, then I think you can actually open an expression of interest, which can be a pre-qualification for you to become a permanent resident of Saskatchewan. I started by saying that there are certain excluded occupation lists. So if your occupation is among this list I'm about to show you, then you are not eligible to apply for this program. But if your occupation is not on this list, then your occupation is one of the in-demand occupations, and you're eligible to apply for this International Skilled Worker Expression of Interest application. Okay, so let's take a look. It's a very long list. I'm not going to read all of the list, but I will just scroll through so that you can see. So these are the list of jobs that are not eligible for you to use as a means of applying under the International Skilled Worker for the province of Saskatchewan. So legislators, senior government managers. So this is actually a PDF file that you would need to download and study, but I will drop the link to download this from the immigration platform on the video description, so that you guys can also download and study that list critically. Okay, so you need to determine that your job is not one of the jobs that are listed here. Now, as you can also see that there is a lot of healthcare professionals on this list. That doesn't mean that they cannot immigrate. They have a special program for healthcare professionals, and we will do a separate video to actually talk about that. In fact, I think that also has a lot of added benefits that you can utilize if you're a healthcare professional. If you have all of these requirements and you know that you can score above the 60 points, which is the cutoff for you to submit an expression of interest, then all you have to do is to actually go ahead and submit an expression of interest. And you can do that through this Immigration Saskatchewan platform. The first thing is you would need to create an account before you can start putting in your profile in submitting an expression of interest. So this is the link that you can use to create an account. And then after you have created that account, you can then sign in with your username and password and then continue to submit your expression of interest. Okay, so if you want to create an account, all you have to do is to click this create an account. Okay, and it's going to bring you to this page where you will have to select who you are. Okay, for example, you are an expression of interest candidate, so you have to select that option. Once you click it, you click on continue. Okay, and then the page loads and we'll see what it will, what it will bring us for us. So there are certain information that you will need to read at the top. Then you have to create a username. You have to put in your first name, your middle name, your family name, your date of birth, your email address, and then you have to, click on submit. So by filling in all of this information, you would have created an account on the Saskatchewan immigration platform. You can then log in with the username and the password, which will be sent to your email address, and then you can submit your expression of interest. So guys, this is a great opportunity to become a PR in Saskatchewan. You don't need to get a job offer. All you have to do is to gather the requirement, submit an expression of interest, and when they do immigration rounds where they pick candidates from the pool, you may be eligible to be picked, and then you can apply directly for the provincial nomination program. Okay, so guys, check out this information. The relevant links are in the video description. Now, if you need support, if you need one-on-one support, maybe to submit this expression of interest, or you want to talk about it to understand how you can take advantage of this, please go right away and book a one-on-one consultation with Amy, and then we can kickstart this process for you. Thank you so much guys for watching. Have a lovely day.